How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading whether price is going up or down. SHIB prices declined sharply following Silvergate implosion. Shiba Inu is among the top tokens to suffer severe losses in the past few days. There's a bunch of crap up there that doesn't really matter, but Shiba's dump in recent weeks is mainly attributed to the recent mass sale by Voyager, the bankrupt crypto lender that has been transferring colossal amounts of crypto to Coinbase and selling them. Shiba is among the assets that they have been selling off. Voyager has been selling assets every day since February 14th, and among those they have 2.4 trillion worth of SHIB, that was worth 28 million to sell. Voyager still holds about 6.5 trillion SHIB worth 81 million, and indicates that this indicates that SHIB could get more sell-off pressure as there's a big whale selling. Which, for anyone that is into SHIB and is into like the whole, I just saw a picture of it, like the Shibarium, how that can help the ecosystem and how that's been making it gain some popularity lately, this may be a good buying opportunity when the dust settles. Sorare NFTs should be regulated under a new categories, the CEO says. Dapper Labs NBA Top Shine NFT was claimed to be securities. If you don't remember that, I think we posted a video a week or two ago about it, so you could watch the news article from then. But Nicholas Julia, the CEO of the fantasy sports NFT firm Sorare, believes that his product should be listed under a new category outside of the existing esports betting and daily fantasy sports regulations. He believes that they have been proactive with the regulations in the US and Europe to help build the framework that might be needed to appropriate for the new category that they are building. They say it's very clear that it's not a betting product and not a fantasy sports product, it's a new category. However, there is a little bit of clapback, we'll get into that later, but the French company claims it has more than 3 million users through its fantasy NFT partnerships with 300 plus sports organizations around the globe, including the NBA, MLB, and MLS. And virtually every top European soccer league. Now they have a lot of good application. There was a lot of use during the World Cup and that for soccer, so there was a lot, or football as the Europeans would call it. We got support from the government in France, which is pushing for a new framework that's hopefully going to happen in the coming months. Hopefully the US will follow, Julia said. US seems to be a little laggy with regulation, and you'll see why if you watch the next few articles, because it's all about regulation. In the last month's ruling, Judge Victor Marrero said Dapper's reliance on a private blockchain was fundamental to the court's decision to view it as an NFT, or as a security, Dapper disputes the notion and says that Flow has been gradually decentralizing, with 68% of its nodes being operated by external validators, according to them in October 2021, so that percentage may be higher or lower depending on how the ecosystems made it through. So there's not really too much on that. UK crypto crackdown, which British banks allow you to buy Bitcoin. So in this article, it's mainly about British, but there's a theme that US and other countries might want to pay attention to in this article. As well as we'll tell you what bank, if you're in the UK, you might want to use. UK banks are getting tougher on customers using crypto. In the past week, two of the country's biggest banks, Nationwide and HSBC, cracked down by applying daily limits for buyers or restricting credit cards from making crypto purchases, all to protect you. According to most UK high street banks with limits, the crackdown is intended to protect investors from crypto fraud. They want to do everything they can to protect their customers, and they feel that limiting payments to cryptocurrency exchanges is the best way to make sure that your money stays safe. So by not allowing you to invest, they're protecting you. Major high street bank nationwide said this week it was setting up new restrictions to help protect you and try to keep your money safe. Customers can no longer buy crypto with credit cards and with debit cards, and there are daily limits of 5,000 euros or about $6,000 US. HSBC customers cannot buy digital assets from exchanges using credit cards, but they can use a debit card through a UK regulated platform, but not Coinbase. Lloyds allows clients to buy through a UK regulated platform and does allow you to go through Coinbase, but only using a debit card. NatWest, they are one of the stricter ones, I believe. NatWest, you can use an account to buy digital assets from exchanges such as Coinbase, but they limit your amounts and they won't tell you how much. So, guess that's good for you to find out if you want to use them. Barclays Bank does not allow customers to buy or sell crypto through its online banking platform. Would-be investors can buy crypto via a regulated FCA-approved broker, though. Standard, as it stands, anyone who banks with them can make a single transaction of $1,000 with a total limit of $3,000 in any 30-day period. So that wouldn't even be enough to live on in the US. Sure, it wouldn't be enough to live on in the UK. A crypto trader who banks with Standard told Decrypt that their account was closed without warning because they use Coinbase. So if you notice the theme, people don't like Coinbase for some reason. Wise does not deal in cryptocurrency, as they also don't even try. Monzo, you can buy cryptocurrencies on big established exchanges such as Coinbase, but not Binance. Don't blame them with some of the questions going around about Binance. And they may block a small number of transactions based on risk. Starling is the worst bank, and they won't let you do anything. Revolt, this is probably the best bank to use if you're in the UK. Users can buy, sell, and store a number of digital assets via the mobile banking app, and just last month the bank launched a staking service for Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, and Tezos. I wish we had a bank like that in the US. That sounds pretty cool. Brazilian regulator says crypto law is coming. Here's what to expect. The head of Brazilian financial market regulator says that the BI will roll out a decree in the next few days and will allow governments appointed bodies to better police the sector. The president of the SEC, known in Brazil as the CVM, stated that cryptocurrencies would work alongside the traditional economy. So this is a good thing to hear. He also added that the decree will grant the CVM the power to determine which tokens are securities. Hopefully they don't take the Gary Gensler approach and just sue everyone just because, hey, we didn't say you were a security, but now we are. Hopefully they take a more like work together approach. The central bank is expected to function as the regulatory body for tokens that are not classified as securities. Nasumoto added that the CVM is also focusing on the decentralized or DeFi project called Open Capital Market, and stated that the CVM has been working on the project in conjunction with the central bank. So pretty much they're working on the CBDC and a DeFi project, so they're going to make a currency, but it's not going to be kind of like how the US probably wants to go, where they have control over it. It sounds like it might be decentralized. The CVM chief also stated that he stated that his objective was to help develop the crypto space and avoid making rules that could strangle the sector. Hong Kong is getting stricter, but they aim to boost confidence. Hong Kong has a well-established regulatory framework for financial services, one of the two countries we'll talk about that is actually established, which has helped attract many crypto and blockchain companies. Hong Kong HKMA has launched several initiatives to support the development of blockchain and digital currencies. For example, the HKMA is working on developing with a CBDC, and has also been launched a blockchain-based trade platform. So, sounds pretty similar to what Brazil's approach is, so that's pretty positive if they do take a similar approach. In December 2022, the Legislative Council of Hong Kong passed an amendment to the AML and counter-terrorist financing ordinances, introducing a licensing regime for virtual asset service providers, or VASPs. Remember the acronym. The new regulations require all VASPs operating in Hong Kong to obtain a license from the SFC without a license. Without a license, individuals and businesses cannot offer VA services or declare themselves as a provider. The Hong Kong government closely regulates all activities related to the provision of the virtual asset services. The term VA services encompasses a broad range of electronic services that include but are not limited to offering virtual assets for the sale of purchase regularly, resulting in a binding transaction, so buying a coin, possessing direct or indirect control over client money or client virtual assets in the provision of such services. So they're pretty much saying that if you are taking control of your client's assets, then you're going to fall into this category and you're going to need licensing, which is something that Coinbase doesn't do, which is why it's kind of curious that some countries, I think it was the UK, some of their banks aren't letting you use Coinbase. It is important to note that crypto trading platforms that allow trading in financial products such as securities and future contracts are not subject to the new licensing regime, as they are already regulated by the SFO. This extends to all crypto exchanges registered in Hong Kong under the company's ordinances, including those based out of Hong Kong, by actively targeting Hong Kong citizens in their marketing efforts. I don't think this a little bit more. There's not too much more useful info here, but you can get a license. Crypto businesses must obtain a license from the SFC, the regulatory body for the securities and futures markets. To get a license, the business must pass a fit and proper test that involves criminal background checks, AML, CFT, performance, history, financial standing, educational or other qualifications, reputation, experience, character, reliability, and financial integrity of the person. So they really dive into who each person on the team is. The business must also apply for approval on the promises to keep records or documents required under this ordinance. Crypto businesses must introduce AML and counter-terrorism funding measures, including customer due diligence, transaction monitoring, and record keeping, screening clients against international sanctions and watch lists for PEP status, and screening clients in adverse media. They must also comply with the travel rule requirements and appoint an eligible auditor within 1 month after becoming a licensed provider. Furthermore, they must prepare financial statements and other documents for prescribed periods and submit them with the auditor's report to the Commission within 4 months after the end of the fiscal year which they relate. So quite a few things you have to do, but there's actually regulation in Hong Kong, which is positive, and it seems to kind of mirror Brazil, so hopefully we can see some more positivity and regulation actually happening. Maybe the US will finally step up. Dubai's crypto industry welcomes new licensing regime amid global regulatory uncertainty. Dubai's crypto industry is thrilled the jurisdiction has finally unveiled its crypto regulatory framework, giving locals a concrete licensing regime for digital asset issuers and service providers. Under Dubai's new rules, all entities planning to offer one or more crypto-related services in the jurisdiction must seek the relevant authorization and licenses. Since the new rules were published, institutional crypto custody provider Hex Trust has become one of the first to get an operational go-ahead from the Emirates watchdog, the VARA, or Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. Remember that. We were waiting for a licensing framework. We were waiting for somebody with interest to take responsibility. But Dubai's new rules are a work in progress, its comprehensive nature leaving room for further development over time. So they admit they're not perfect, and they will adapt to the industry. According to the document, a company looking to offer exchange services must pay an application fee of 100,000 UAA or $27,200 and an annual supervision fee of double that amount. The application fee doesn't guarantee approval, and if the company wants to offer additional services like custody, lending, or payments, they have to apply for additional licenses at 50% discount and cover additional supervision fees. So they really rail you for fees, but there's a reason for that, they say. For comparison, Abu Dhabi, another UAE emirate, charges $20,000 application fee and $15,000 annual supervision fee. But that goes up if companies want to offer other types of assets. Over in Singapore, crypto exchanges that don't engage in fiat currency typically apply for a major payments institutional license, and this comes at about 10,000 Singapore dollar or $77,500 annual fee. And the New York bit license is a $5,000 application fee, but companies reported hearing it would cost up to $100,000 for time allocation, legal, and compliance fees. So they can really rake you over the coals over in New York too. With so many bomb-feeding scammers trying to establish here, enough is enough. Hopefully these regulations will be used to really target those bad players. So their goal with all the high fees in Dubai is to regulate or prevent scams. So a lot of these different countries are taking up all these different frameworks, that way they can regulate the crypto industry, and this regulation is positive. However, we're not seeing too much adoption by the US. The US seems to want to more go after everyone. So on to the charts. So we'll start over at the daily here. We are in a bit of a descending channel now that we have broken this kind of sideways that we were in. And I did redraw our volume profile to encompass this whole area here now. So it goes, I believe, to this candle. If I can get it to click. Okay, it's not going to show me. Yeah, so right about this candle here. So that's where our volume profile is now, if you want to kind of follow with that. So our high value area is here now. Our point control is around here at 23. So 24 is our high, 23 is our point of control, and our low area is about 22.5. So if you look, we broke down below our low area, and we are kind of attempting to pump, but we got a little baby candle, so I won't get too excited. We did print that red dot that we had yesterday, and our momentum wave just came crashing down. Our VWAP came crashing down, and our stochastic rejected after being flat for days. Our RSI moved down pretty significantly. We do have a long lower shadow. Not really, because the body needs to be shorter than the wick, so never mind on that. But if we look over at the 4 hour, you can see we somewhat have this pattern, but we'll talk about that in the 2 hour. Money flow on the 4 hour is trying to come back up, so that could be a positive sign. We are getting a green dot, double green dot. Momentum wave is curling up. Our stochastic's trying to point up, and our RSI is kind of flat. Flat right against that neutral zone, so it doesn't want to give the bears control, which could be a positive sign. But we'll have to see how the 2 hour looks and the 1 hour. So 2 hour, you can see our money flow peaked under into the bearish zone, and now it's peeking over into the bullish zone. So we just took a little dip after this big crash, of course. For the whole day, we came like crashing down pretty hard, but the last few hours we've been maintaining bullish momentum. Our momentum wave is trying to come up, our VWAP is trying to come up, and our stochastic and our RSI are making bounces off that neutral zone and trying to head up as well. The 1 hour, our money flow is trying to cross, and we are getting a bullish divergence highlighting. So if we're able to get that cross, we may see this ascending triangle play out that could take us to about 22.6. That would be probably a little bit of a bounce, and then with these channels, maybe we'll bounce a little higher since this is our range, and this would be like the resistance of that range if we break this primary resistance here, and then we may come down from there, at which point we could fall lower. I'll talk a little bit after this on how I get where this is coming from, but we could fall to about 22.3, about 20k area, and then if we do manage to make that fall, it's likely we could make a bounce from there, and hopefully that happens, and then we break out of this channel, and then we could maintain a bullish narrative, as this channel breaking could take us up, possibly back to retest this range that we had. So quite a bit that I said. If we look at the CME, which is the futures for Bitcoin in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, if you look, there is a gap. I've said this before. We'll do a little excerpt, but gaps here, gaps fill. So we did a big jump with no candles here. Usually all gaps are going to fill at some point. So we did run up. I believe there was a higher gap that we may have filled. That's not important right now, but we are coming back down. So we could make a shoulder, a head, and then another shoulder. So we may get another fake out pump, and everyone might get excited again before this happens. But we do have this gap down here that is probably eventually going to fill. And the range for that gap is about 20,000.7 and 19.9. So that's why I say about 23, because that's about in the middle of the range. So that's where we get that drop point from. Now we'll go back onto our normal TA with the graph. Over on graph, we're maintaining in this descending triangle, so not the best look here for the daily. We still have that divergence that highlighted a couple days ago. This could be its play out if we manage to get a bump up. If we do manage to get some surprise movement up out of nowhere, then we could invalidate this, but with that gap on Bitcoin, I don't know if it'll happen. Our VWAP, I'm all over the place. Our VWAP got rejected crossing, and we're trying to somewhat inch up with tomorrow's candle, it looks like, but today's candle brought us down pretty harshly. Our momentum wave is coming down, and our money flow is coming out. Stochastic's going down, so our RSI is losing strength, and that's heading down as well. If we look over here at the 4 hour, we're trying to get that green dot printing just like Bitcoin, trying to get that money flow across. VWAP's cross bullish, so looking pretty similar to Bitcoin. Stochastic and RSI are making that run up after bouncing off that neutral zone. So the 4 hour, we're looking very similar to Bitcoin. Over on the 2 hour, our money flow has been coming out like all day, pretty brutally. We have been coming up over the last few hours, even though price is coming down. So that's a little bit of a bullish divergence on our money flow, and could be a positive sign if we manage to break and hold. We are getting a green dot printing on our momentum wave, so that is a positive sign, and our VWAP is pointing up, so that's another positive sign. If we take a peek at the 1 hour, money flow is flattening out, so that's a little concerning. We're going to need that 1 hour to break and hold pretty strongly. Otherwise, we may not see the other time frames break, at which point we would probably not invalidate this pattern we have. So over on XRP, we're still coming down with the shoulder. That candle could have been really bad, as that will almost brought us down to the neckline of our head and shoulders here. So this pattern is very much at risk of showing up. We are trying to print a green dot on our momentum wave, so that could be a positive sign, but our money flow doesn't know where it wants to go, and neither does our VWAP. Stochastic's losing strength, and our RSI is just flat. Over on the 4 hour, we broke down all the way from this bear flag, and now we're peeking back in. Our stochastic and RSI are trying to run up now, but our VWAP is kind of rounding off, so medium term on the 4 hour looks like we're starting to round down, and this pump may not be long lived. Our momentum wave looks like it has a risk of trying to curl under, so I'd watch if this money flow can sustain and get above this neutral zone or not. Over on the 2 hour, our money flow is crossing pretty strongly, our VWAP is crossing pretty strongly, and our momentum wave is crossing pretty strongly. So the 2 hour is looking pretty good here. This is what you'd want to see on Bitcoin, but we'd want to see this carry over into the 4 hour before we get too excited, especially with this reversal arrow that could bring us down. It could also be a signal that this downtrend is over too. So they're kind of like, they don't really give you too much to go off. You kind of had to check everything else and use your own analysis. We do have a green dot here, which is usually indicative of a little run up, but since it's on the 1 hour, you get them all the time and they don't really play out very far. We have a red dot here, so that would be my concern here, because the 1 hour, we need this money flow to stay bullish if we're going to see it carry over into higher time frames. Our medium term VWAP is starting to come down, and our money flow is struggling to gain any momentum. Our momentum wave looks like it's about to curl off, and our RSI is getting a red dot with our stochastic starting to round off. So our RSI looks like it's about to lose strength. That VWAPs and momentum wave look like they're about to lose strength, so looking pretty concerning here. So let's check out how algo is looking. Algo broke that point of control, so we bounced off that value area low, so it's likely we could come back down, hit that value area low again, and then maybe get a bounce up if Bitcoin starts to get bullish out of nowhere, but with the way Bitcoin's looking, I wouldn't count on it too much. Our momentum wave is coming down, our money flow is coming out still, stochastic's coming out, RSI is coming out, our VWAP is trying to break this neutral zone. However, every time we get around this area, it just starts to round down, so we're going to need that VWAP to start coming in a little stronger. Over at the 4 hour, our money flow is trying to head up, however it crossed into the red here. Stochastic's kind of bearish, RSI is heading down, not looking the strongest. We have that green dot that tried to print, but our momentum wave isn't really looking the strongest for a run up, as this side's kind of starting to curl already. If we look over at the 2 hour here, our money flow is kind of flip-flopping, doesn't know where it wants to go. Our momentum wave is going up a little stronger than on the 4 hour, so that is a positive sign. Our VWAP did reject crossing bearish and is heading up, so that is a positive sign. If we can keep this up, that would be a good sign for the higher time frames. Over on the 1 hour, you see we're trying to kind of cross up on the 1 hour after being bearish. We'll have to watch the next couple candles and see if we can get some momentum to follow that. Our VWAP's kind of rounding off, but our momentum kind of has more room to go, and our VWAP could easily curl back up. Stochastic's running up pretty strongly, and our RSI is starting to head up. We did bounce, didn't even get near the neutral line here, so we're going pretty decent. We did break lower earlier, but we have been maintaining over the last few hours pretty decently, and we invalidated this red X. So Bitcoin, we have that futures gap that I showed that could drag us lower, and that could drag some of the altcoins down. However, if you look at the time frames and see how we use the time frames together, you can kind of see what we're going to look for. That way when you know when we're going to take a position to see if we go up. Otherwise, from here, it's looking kind of bearish. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.